All right, range of motion. You have full range of motion. You have continuous or constant tension, time under tension type of thing. Which way should you train? Which is best? Again, it's like everything else I do. You already should be able to figure. I'm going to say I like a wide variety of things. It decreases the monotony, keeps things interesting. And I just make sure I'm covered all the bases. In a small way, I'm kind of reproducing real life. I need to be able to function in a wide variety of range of motion, all the way, everything from, just a little bit of movement all the way into full range of motion. Now, full range of motion is incredibly important because as you age, if you have, you're just like, your joints are kind of like a hinge, like a door. You got a door right here, like a door. Say you have a door and you never use the door, okay? And it's in all seasons of weather and on your house. You never open and close the screen door. Or you only open it a little tiny bit, so you let it, a pet outside or something. You never open it any further than that. There's probably going to come a day when it's going to be difficult to open that door all the way. You're going to be able to detect a difference. In that small range of motion where it's been working all this time, been utilized, it's still going to be pretty active and healthy joints, healthy hinges. But when you go outside of that, you may notice some issues. You're going to have something sticking, something creaking, something squeaking. Car doors do it all the time. You don't open them all the way up. You don't use the car, it sits around for a while. You go out there and get in the car, the door squeaks and creaks, all that, right? Joints are like that, just in a different, they're different than that, but it's a close enough analogy that you see my point. And if I say I drop something on the floor as I age, if I want to, drop a spoon or something, if I want to bend down and pick it up, I have to bend all the way down to pick it up. I have to be capable of doing that. So you're still going to need to be practical, and you have to be fully functional as long as you can. And some body parts, I find, muscle groups, just respond much better to full range of motion, as opposed to some others where it's not as critical. And one of those things, in my opinion, based on my experience, are legs. Legs really, really enjoy a fuller range of motion in the compound movements. Not necessarily I'm saying lock out everything on leg extensions. Look, if you like to lock out and you're not overemphasizing it to where you're hyperextending or something, once you get so muscular, it's a little difficult to hyperextend anyway. But you do what you enjoy and what feels good and feels healthy and doesn't irritate or aggravate. Okay, that's the first indicator. If it irritates, aggravates, or it's discomforting, not in a good way, but in a way in your joints or connective tissue or something like that, it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. You probably shouldn't continue to do that. Small aggravations, if you continue to inflict them, lead to becoming a chronic issue or a large aggravation. Common sense. Now, squats. I've always liked to go full range of motion on squatting for two reasons. Number one, when I used to do a wider stance, just a parallel squat, it worked good. I worked up to where I could move lots of weight. But the first thing that happened is the weight became so heavy after enough time, many, many years, that training alone, which I did a lot of the time, it became hazardous for me to get the weight up out of a rack and walk it out. Do my squats. If I'm really going hard and heavy, fatiguing myself to that extent in that set, and then getting it back in. It became hazardous because of the imbalance in my joints, knees, hips, and I come from a background where I completely tore an ACL completely, and I rehabbed it myself. Never had surgery. Took 2 years to rehab it. At the time, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just get it fixed? Well, because the tactics at the time, the medical approach to it, wasn't anything I wanted to roll a dice on. Okay, today, probably not a big deal. Easy repair, commonplace repair. Then, not so much. They used cadaver donated connective tissue to repair it with, tendon, and it was 50% chance of a full recovery. So that's the best that they would give you. Well, you have a 50% chance that you're going to return to full, complete use of the knee as it was before it happened, the injury occurred. that wasn't really good enough odds for me. So you're saying 50% chance that I won't really walk correctly afterwards. So I figured, what do I have to lose? I'll try it myself. So I rehabbed it myself. Anyway, so I'm always conscious of inflicting lateral stresses on knees and hips and things. And, you know, the background of fighting, all the twisting and torquing. And that, the knee's been able to endure that since. It's been a long time now. But it's been able to endure some extreme amounts of that since, but that's not really good for your hips either. A lot of guys that, you know, engage in this kind of training or exercise, they are running the risk of hip problems later on. It's just true. You know, maybe it won't happen to you, maybe it will. But with the full range of motion thing, I could go lighter. I didn't have to go as heavy, physically heavy. And like I've told you before, the musculature doesn't know arithmetic. It only knows extended demand. How much stress am I placing on it? What am I asking it to do? That's what it understands and responds to. That's what it is forced to adapt to. Doesn't know. Doesn't calculate or add up the number of the pounds or kilos. Doesn't know that. So by increasing my range of motion and literally going as far as I mechanically can go in the squat, with control, no bouncing and no nutty shit, I had to lighten up. Because of course I can put more weight on the bar and go parallel, the wider stance, more powerful stance. So that was one thing. It made it safer for me at the time to train alone, walk it out of a rack. I could walk it out of a rack because now I don't have to go as heavy. And I went even farther as I aged, and with Brian Stoltz's convincing, in fact, I come to adapt an approach where I pre-fatigue first. Now, pre-fatigue quads, pre-fatigue hams, then squats, so then it's even lighter. So by the time I get underneath of the squat rack, I don't have to go crazy heavy. I mean, not to operate in the rep range I'm after, that's comfortable for me. You know, I really seldom would have to go over 315 after that. After an hour of beating my hamstrings and quads up, then get under the free weight squat, yeah, probably don't have to use that much weight anymore. He and I could do it, and he's like really super strong squatter, like 750, you know, squatter. Typically when he was younger. So he really didn't have to, neither of us actually had to really exceed 315 after training in that fashion. So I could even reduce the weight more by pre-fatiguing first. And I found it to be a good thing. Now here's what happened as a result of that. I noticed that I gained overall leg development far in excess and more completely than I did when I just went wider, stanced, and parallel. So even though I've lightened it up, my legs were bigger, they were better shaped, they were more completely developed. So lower body, legs, that's a part where in the compound movement considerations, I absolutely think that fuller range of motion is ideal. And plus it's going to keep you to where, as you age, you're going to be able to go out and move full range of motion. The body's accustomed to doing it, it's adapted to doing it. You know, rust never sleeps, and you've held it all at bay much more adequately. That's my belief. Now, not saying loading a lot of weight on and continuing to do it, you know, being so stubborn to the point where you're going to injure yourself, you're going to cause problems as you age. No, like I said before, the muscle doesn't know how much that bar weighs, how many plates are on it, or any other thing, okay? So be smart and strategic about it. But even if you're younger and you're really strong, maybe you just like moving heavy weight, well, you can still move a significant amount of weight the way that I describe. I squatted close to 6 ass to heels in my day, and that was regular, routinely, every time I squat. It wasn't like maximal, it was you know, low rep set. That was what I work up to, maybe get 2 really solid reps with it, ass to heels. And typically I would even pause. So you can definitely build some strength that way, but just my input. Now other body parts, you know, if you're not comfortable going full range of motion, or you find that you just achieve more hypertrophy or better development or whatever you're after by doing, you know, partial range of motion, or it's more sparing on your joints, you know, like overhead pressing, full range of motion, free weight. As you age, maybe not the greatest idea. I like to do that on a Smith machine. I feel safe doing that. But free weight movement, yeah, maybe. You may not want to do that to your shoulders. You may not either want to come all the way down. Some guys don't want to come all the way down. You may not want to go all the way up and lock out. Some guys don't want to do that. So again, Who's right, who's wrong? It's an individual thing. You know, the length of your bones, genetic makeup, predisposition, history. So you do what suits you. Train for you. Don't train for the next man. Train for you, and the next man will train for himself. So it's just a bunch of ideas and a bunch of tactics and approaches, and you're free to do anything that works for you. But what I'm saying is, just be aware what you're giving up in a specific strategy or approach or tactic that you choose, and why you choose that over other choices. So am I giving up anything in doing this? Am I overlooking anything in doing this? Or am I going to injure myself or whatever? Or am I doing this because if I do the other, it's too precarious, too much risk of injury, or it aggravates something, or it doesn't feel stable to me and I feel better this way, or this just works better for me, I grow better. Either way, it's all good. Just, use this as more than a hat rack, and just know why you choose what you do. And you always have the alternative of doing a great variety of things. That's what I do.